Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all doing well out there. And today we're heading back to slasher territory, but this time in the 90s. But before we do that, do me a favor, like, comment, and subscribe. Join me here. I greatly would appreciate that. Also, shameless plug for my TeePublic page. I will leave a link in the description box below. And today we're going to talk about a sequel. And I was inspired to do this sequel because me and Dale_A from the Bat and Spider podcast, please go over and subscribe to those great fellas over there at Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We toured the shooting locations for I Know What You Did Last Summer, and today we're going to talk about I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. I Still Know What You Did Last Summer came out November 13th of 1998, like a year and a month after the release of the original I Know What You Did Last Summer. That came out in October of 97, so this was a rush production. We'll talk about that. It's rated R like the first film. It's an hour and 40 minutes long. Had a budget of $24 million, although if you look it up online, some places say it's 65. It was 24, not 65, and upon release it made 40 in America and 84 worldwide. Now, Jim Gillespie, who directed the first film, which I think he did a really nice job with that film, he handled it well, did not come back for this film. Matter of fact, he didn't even like the story for it. So he brought in a young filmmaker called Danny Cannon, who actually did the Judge Dredd movie, a Stallone's movie back in the 90s, if you remember that one. He's still directing to this day, does a lot of TV. Returning to the I Know What You Did Last Summer franchise, Jennifer Love Hewitt is back as Julie James. Freddie Prinze Jr. is back as Ray. They are still a couple at this point. Brandy, the singer, is in this movie as Carla, and now she is Julie James's best friend at college. Mekhi Phifer plays Brandy's or Carla's boyfriend, and he's Tyrell. Muse Watson is back as the fisherman or Ben. Also in this film, we got Jeffrey Combs as Mr. Brooks. He's the hotel manager where they go for this vacation they think they won, and we'll talk about that. John Hawkes is in this film as Dave, and he's only in the film about maybe 5 minutes. He plays Ray's deckhand on his fishing boat. And also you'll see Jack Black in here as the stoner pool boy at the resort. And this is Jack Black's first horror film he's ever done. And this film picks up about a year or two after the events of the first film. And Julie is still off at college, still Ray's back at Southport on his fishing boat. So they're doing the whole long distance relationship thing. And the problem is Brandy keeps trying to set her up with Will, this really nice guy who hangs out with him and is really good friends. But Julie is still having flashbacks or thinks she's seeing Ben, the fisherman. Sometimes they go out to a club, she thinks she sees them. And so she's still having a little bit of PTSD from what took place the year prior. After Julie's little episode at the club, the next morning, Carla's there and her phone rings. Carla answers it, and it's this radio station asking them Carla a question, and if she gets it right, they win a quick getaway for the 4th of July weekend. They ask them what the capital of Brazil is. Carla answers Rio, which we all know is not the right answer, but they say she won. And now she has a trip for 4 to the Bahamas. So she asked Julie to go. Julie asked Ray to go. He doesn't want to go. And on the way, Ray said, maybe I'll show up. When Ray gets he's on his way with his buddy Dave in tow, and he comes across this car accident, and it's really the fisherman. Ray finds this mannequin in the middle of the road, and the fisherman shows up and kills Dave and comes after Ray. Ray gets away, but he's severely injured. And Julie goes off to Bahamas with Carla, Tyrell, and Will to have a fun-filled getaway. And pretty much from there, they're being screwed with. They're there during storm season, so the resort's empty. And there's not a lot to do. And pretty soon the bodies start piling up, and Ben Willis makes his triumphant return, and he's screwing with them. And then finally the rest of them believe Julie, and it's basically a cat and mouse. And at the end of the film, Ray shows up to play the hero, and they end up killing Ben Willis and dispatching of Will, because we find out that Will is Ben's son. And our survivors are Ray, Julie, and Carla, and everybody else gets wiped out. And that at the end we get a jump scare of Ben underneath Julie's bed, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense because he can't be any more dead than he is at the end of the film. And that's the end of I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. What do I think about this film? Well, the returning cast. Jennifer Love Hewitt is charming here as she was in the first film. I think she's good here. She gets some crappy things to say. That's the script's fault, not hers. Freddie Prinze Jr. is good here as Ray. I think he's actually better in this film than he was in the first film. Our new cast is okay. Brandy's fine. her character's annoying. I don't blame her. Her character's annoying. She clearly knows that Julie is with Ray, and she continues to try to set Julie up with Will consistently. It's like, if you're her best friend, you should back off. But whatever, that was just a script. Mekhi Phifer's fine here. Doesn't get a whole lot to do but complain that he's not getting laid and whatnot. So, it's always nice to see Jeffrey Combs. And even Jack Black doesn't annoy me. I know some people don't like his character, but he's humorous here for what they're going for. Is this film as good as the original film? No. I mean, the setting of the resort is fine. They didn't shoot it in the Bahamas, even though it supposedly takes place there. They actually shot it in Mexico. It's fine. Some of the kills, it's gorier. It's more bloody than the first film. I'll give it that. So on that level, you could have a little bit more fun with it because there's more carnage candy. Although it's not overly graphic, but it's definitely more gorier than the first film. And there's more kills in this film. But, I don't mind this film. This was a rushed production. I mean, it's only came out a little over a year after the first film. And, a lot of the creative team behind the first film wasn't here. So there was a lot of moving parts here. And let's get into the negatives. I think it's a fine enough slasher, but the negatives are they get the script. There are some awful things to say. The cast gets some really shitty lines of dialogue here. And then Julie does the whole thing in the rain again. What are you waiting for? I mean, who does that twice? Nobody does that twice. So come on, please. Once it's revealed what's going on, that this was a setup, Will reveals himself as Ben's son, and they reveal that this was all a master plan to get Julie to this island. We find out Ben even worked here for a time from the baggage handler. It's like, when the hell do you have time to work there? I don't get it. And he was there with his wife, and the guy who takes the luggage knew that he had kids. So there's a lot of weird and doesn't make a whole lot of sense here. Plus the fact is, he tries to kill Ray back at Southport. He could have killed Julie at the college. They didn't need to go through all this rigmarole to get her to this resort. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense why you would do that. And where the hell did you get the money to pay for this trip? It wasn't free. There's a lot of things that don't make a whole lot of sense here. So the plot is kind of bullshit, really. It's a bullshit plot device. But if you could turn your brain off and just go with it, you could have a good enough time here. This is pure, it kind of reminds me, this is more of an 80s slasher than the first film. It's just better acted. I think the acting's pretty good overall, but the plot really lets us down. The story's not as good, but there's still fun to be had, fun to be mined here, okay? It's just there's some stuff that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, really, if you think about it too much. Your brain will hurt when you think about some of this crap too much. But Kevin Williamson was unable to come back. He was busy with Dawson's Creek, Halloween H2O, which came out in 98, The Faculty, which came out in 98, both of which he had a hand in writing. And plus, he was prepping his directorial debut, Teaching Mrs. Tingle, which came out in 99. So he was unavailable to come back. And Jim Gillespie didn't want to come back. He didn't like the story for this film at all. So he was kind of like, no, thank you. Mekhi Phifer got hired, which is kind of funny because he was also in, I'm not familiar with Brandy's singing. She was a singer first before she got in acting. She had a video, and he was in it, called The Boy, for her song The Boy. And he was the boy in the song, and they got to reunite here, play boyfriend and girlfriend. So that's pretty funny. Again, this is filmed in Mexico, not the Bahamas, even though it takes place in the Bahamas. Jennifer Love Hewitt actually thought when she signed on for the film, before she even saw the script, she assumed Jim Gillespie was coming back to direct this film. And when she found out he wasn't coming back, she was disappointed because she really enjoyed working with him on the first film. And again, I think he did a really good job with the first film. Not that Danny Cannon does a bad job here. The film looks nice, for sure. That's not the problems here. The problem's more the script, and the story itself is kind of bullshit. But at the end of the day, not a perfect movie by any stretch. Nowhere near as good as the first film. But there is some fun to be had here, for sure. It's a little trashier. It's a little gorier. It's a little goofier. So there's some fun to be had for those points alone. And at the end of the day, I would give I Still Know What You Did Last Summer a 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10 for I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. Have you ever seen this one? What are your thoughts on it? Leave a comment down below. Let me know. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. Share this video. I greatly would appreciate that. I'll be back soon with some more reviews. But until next time, bye.